Marcus Rashford just keeps going and going and going. He doesn't know when to break. Anyway, welcome to the United Hotspot. My name is Webb, and here are the lessons we learned from our draw against Tottenham Hotspur. Number one, Diogo Dalot is our most improved player by far. In fact, he deserves to drive the expensive car. I saw him, pull up in at Carrington. I mean, look at how he was winning everything. His stats in that game were insane. He was inch perfect in everything he did in terms of tackles won, duels won, passes completed, crosses, everything he touched turned into gold. Surely, this boy has improved. No wonder he has managed to displace Wan-Bissaka from the right to the left. Like Cristiano Ronaldo said, you remember, when he was at Man United, the one player who impressed him the most with his attitude was Diogo Dalot. So big up Diogo. For me, he was our best player by far, by the way, in that game. Number two, Wan-Bissaka. Tell me a better man-to-man defender than Wan-Bissaka. This guy, first of all, I had some jitters seeing him on the left, and I was thinking, have I ever seen Wan-Bissaka play on the left? But boy, didn't he boss the left back position like it's his natural position. He went into tackles. He was so confident and winning them, trying to make overlaps. He was good. He was brilliant. I think he was the second best player again after Diogo Dalot. I think our fullbacks were our best performers for the game. So give it up to Wan-Bissaka. I think indeed he deserves to be a starter. Diogo Dalot deserves to be a starter. I wonder when Luke Shaw returns, and by the way, Luke Shaw was expected to be there in that game until the last minute when he got some issues and pulled out. I wonder where he's going to play because, I mean, Wan-Bissaka playing like that, well, Luke Shaw, step up your game. Number three, lesson that we learned. Marcus Rashford. This guy has got speed in his feet. He will accelerate at the right time. But my issue has always been Rashford doesn't know when to slow down. In fact, he plays exactly the way he drives. That's how he drives. He's a fast driver. I saw him driving his a Lamborghini. I think it was a Lamborghini. It's expensive, short Lamborghini. So fast. He doesn't stop. Even when he was getting out of the stadium, he refused to even wave to fans, to the kids who were, calling his name because he was one of our best players on the day. But he is so fast and he doesn't know when he has got to pause and sign an autograph or pause and beat off a man and look up and pass the ball. Never mind him assisting, but I think his biggest weakness to his game is just going and going and going. He doesn't know how to move and know when to break. He'll just accelerate and perhaps pass the pitch and go into the stands and what. He needs to borrow something from Kylian Mbappe. That's one thing that Mbappe has mastered. I mean, they are both fast players with the ball, but when it comes to Marcus Rashford, he doesn't know when to pause, when to slow down. That's one thing he has failed to improve. Now, the other lesson we do learn from this game is that you know I love Kobbie Mainoo, and I never want to say nothing bad about him. But to be honest, this was his worst game in a United jersey. I think this was his worst game. But imagine his worst game was better than nearly everyone else around him. I felt his worst game, but he was better than most of the people around him. I think he made a few little mistakes, but again, if you look at his stats, they were good. But by his standards, this was not his best game. Maybe because it was too cold, guys. I was freezing. I could barely clap as the game went on. I mean, maybe these boys were also freezing their feet, but it's not the first time they're playing, in that cold. But he's 18. It was the first Premier League game of their maybe a lot, but he still had a good game anyway. That's why he played the full 90 minutes. But I saw after the game, he looked for minutes, about a minute there pausing. I think he was not happy about himself. I loved to see it. I loved to see it, to be honest. But also about the midfield department. Eric Ten Hag knows what he's supposed to do. I keep saying it. Eric Ten Hag is supposed to play with two blocking midfielders. When we conceded the second goal and Spurs leveled the game, Ten Hag remembered to balance it up. That's when he brought Scott McTominay and he played with McTominay started blocking on the right and Kobbie Mainoo blocking on the left. We were playing with two pivots and the game looked comfortable for United. We were balanced. I don't know why yet before it, he was playing a single pivot with Christian Eriksen, with Mainoo manning the midfield and Eriksen going mostly up and trying to follow, to be near Bruno Fernandes. And I'm thinking, why doesn't Eric Ten Hag just stick to that? Because a double pivot gives us balance and we don't panic. Scott McTominay, another thing I observed in that game, I think he looked like a better tackler. I think when he came on, he made more tackles than I've ever seen him make. He was involved in duels and winning balls, which I thought was so un-Scottish, if you know what I mean. So I felt, give it to him. But you saw that when Scott came on, he was blocking on the left, and Scott McTominay rather was Scott was blocking on the right and Mainoo was blocking on the left, and we were having balance. This, well, for me, is what we are supposed to do. The other lesson we learned from this game, quite a number of them, aren't they? Our forwards, I thought Garnacho had a good few minutes in the first at the start of the game. He was, putting pressure on the Spurs defense, but he later on got lost in the game. Whatever happened, it wasn't his best game, to be honest. It was one of our poorer performers on the night. Rasmus Højlund had a good game as always. He scored, of course, but also making all the right runs. I think he's beginning to grow into the rhythm, scoring his second goal in the Premier League. I think he's beginning to pick the rhythm of a Man United striker, and you love to see it. When he's in the mood, I'm sure this boy will score goals. We just need someone to step him up, to push him to be more clinical, but he makes all the right movements. I thought that was a very commendable thing to talk about him. The one boring thing I saw watching this game in the stands, of course, football is more interesting on TV. The experience, of course, is what we pay for to experience the whole atmosphere on a match day. But on TV, you watch the replays. I didn't see Spurs' second goal, for example. But anyhow, the thing is, I feel like professional football today is too choreographed. It is too choreographed and it's boring. When you're watching, and from my position where I was watching from the Stretford end, I was clearly seeing the pitch in a different way, everything, and I felt it was too robotic. The way football is choreographed today, it is so difficult for naturally talented or players to perform. It's so extremely difficult. I mean, the way football is choreographed today, I think it's so difficult for naturally gifted players, flair players to perform. And I don't want to mention Anthony in this because many of you don't think so, but the Anthony of Ajax, I think can't perform at Man United, especially the Premier League. Everything is to the book, and when you're watching it live, TV makes the game look a bit different and faster. There are slow-mos. The whole experience on TV is different. When you're seeing it real, raw, so boring, to be honest. It's not the football we enjoyed back then. But this is why it's business. You play business. If you can't play business, you can't perform. Anyhow, that said, generally, I think I would give this team a 6.5 out of 10 for that performance. I would give Erik ten Hag a 6. And yeah, I think again we are back there. We are back to square one. Our performances are like this. That's Man United for you. Subscribe, fam. I'll catch you later.